Hello. Well, how can I explain this? Two shows in one day. What's going on? News Bites was earlier, of which more in a moment. But welcome to our live show tonight. Uh, See how you feel. So two of us on. I'll get John Yulden on any second now. But it's Wednesday, the 6th of August, 2025. Our news is on the regeneration and theme of change front. Everyone has an opinion on what Doctor Who is or was. They change it all the time to fit their story. That's how it feels like to me. They just fit their agenda to Doctor Who, then make it sound as though Doctor Who is so changeable that you can do anything with it. So we might talk about favourite and least favourite regenerations along the way, nice bit of nostalgia, and also this Tinkerbell's fairy dust that. But also we'll be talking about actually what is in the news regarding that. So that's what this show's about. And of course, there you go. Yes, earlier on, please check it out. It's only 15 minutes long. It is, as it says on the tin, it's a sensory news bite. Shooty should have been sacked, says the media insider. Oh, tasty, tasty. Right, okay, we're talking about regeneration. I need my man on. Here he is. All the way from, well, all the way from work, but all the way from Sci-Fi Chronicles. It's Gallifrey 11. It's John Yulden. Hiya.
Hi, mate. How you doing? You all right? Hi, everyone in the chat. Good to see you for another wild evening of chat with my friend Brendan.
That's it. Well, really, it's me just triggering you up. Really, I mean,
Yeah, you're turning the rage factor up to 11 for me with
yeah,
with a new quote.
yeah. So everybody, remind me. Keep saying Gallifrey 11 on Twitter and Sci-Fi Chronicles 79. John that's his channel, and I say I frequent it. I'm getting better at getting on it.
You are.
But
Stop
yes.
now.
So of course this is what we're talking about tonight, John, and of course everybody can deny it and all the rest of it. But I'll come to the Millie Gibson quote in a moment. But we had this regeneration. I am getting aggrieved, John, by these regenerations. Number one, why does the Doctor need to blow up the TARDIS?
Yeah. I mean, I'm the same as you. I mean, I'm just tired of the whole. Since 2005, the Doctor has to stand up to do his regeneration. Now, call me old school, but if every cell in my body is dying or I'm critically injured, I generally want to lie down. That's generally how it works.
Yeah.
I can't use my legs anymore. I need to reset on the floor. Thanks very much, with a comfy pillow. But this, yeah, this. I mean, they did it with Tennant, and you can forgive the first one, but then it's from there onwards, isn't it? And it's just sensationalist nonsense, isn't it? He's got bigger and more powerful as he's gone along, and it's like now he's like a flipping, what is it, like a white dwarf star or something. He's so powerful.
Yeah, he's now a space-time event. He's now a nonsense. He's now a diva. I mean, this is not a quiet little death. Those sad deaths, and we may talk about some of them tonight. Where, as you say, lies either on the unit floor or somewhere in the TARDIS floor, and I've got one breath left, and all that sort of stuff. And it's a sad demise of one of your favorite characters.
Yeah.
Now it's kind of, I mean, this regeneration in itself, John. Let's be honest. He kind of said, to move time by a second and to get Poppy back, I'm going to euthanize. And you think, this is a little bit weird.
Oh, it's bizarre. I mean, well, then it just gets worse, doesn't it? You were waiting for me to say something, weren't you? But you just slotted that one in there craftily.
Yeah,
I mean,
since Friday, John, have your shoulders got any bigger?
yeah, they've got bigger and they've got blacker.
All right.
And I've grown blonde hair as well. So I
There
don't know
you
what's
go.
going on. It's obviously a regenerative crisis.
So yeah, it didn't seem heroic. It didn't seem, to be honest, it broke the Time Lord rule, didn't it? You can't
Yeah.
change time. You're not allowed to. And I kind of like that. And yeah, we all know the Doctor kind of meddled slightly. I love
Yeah,
bit in Frontiers when I think Tegan said, "Don't say anything." Shh.
yeah,
That kind of thing. This is kind of there's no whisper in sight, John. I mean, he's shouting joy to the universe, and he's thinking, blasting it. Doesn't any Gallifreyan out there going, "Way now he's out of order on bylaw 6."
well, this is it, and this is what I've said to you before. The Time Lords need to come back. Whoever takes it on in the future, when one day it does come back, they need to bring them back, because there needs to be a level of accountability above the Doctor. Because if you go back to the War Games at the end, and I've said this before, the sheer terror on the second Doctor's face when he's trying to run from the Time Lords and everything's slowing down, and then you hear that voice, "You can't escape us, Doctor," or whatever they say. It's fantastic stuff, and it puts the Doctor back to, he's not god tier status, he's just a traveler. That's what it needs to be again. And this whole nonsense, what about blowing TARDISes up and stuff? It's
Yeah.
a Type 40 time capsule that can travel in time and space. So it can now take in massive supernova events inside itself and not crumble to pieces.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
there's no rules anymore, are there? That's the
No,
trouble.
it's all spectacle. It's all this like, we knew it was a knackered old Type 40, as you said.
Hmm.
Now it seems to you can blow it up every few episodes, and now you can do an R2D2 reboot, like Well Blue Yonder, whatever nonsense that bloody was.
Yeah.
But then, as you say, the standing up. He's not ill. He's not
No.
ailing. I mean, even David Tennant's Doctor, who seemed to have a final laugh that lasted about a year, he even ended up with some Hawaiian blooming
Yeah, it
garland on
did.
him. But I mean, honestly, that was with his cool glasses and everything. But standing up and going, oh,
Yeah, I mean,
I'm trying to imagine John being a kid, thinking, when you do get sad when your doctor dies, and then thinking, well, he's just shouting, going, "I'm dying." I
yeah.
couldn't do a toss.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, is that what everybody does in a hospital? Is it? They suddenly right at the end they go, "Hiya, see you
I'm going,
later."
I'm going to blow up the hospital.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see a nurse go flying out the
Yeah,
window.
yeah. Your drip explodes, and then your bed goes down the corridor. I tell you what,
Yeah,
I'm up for that. Actually, it's like a
yeah,
carry on.
yeah. I mean, this is, when you sit there and you know, whenever they're writing it, and this is the trouble you've got with the last few years of New Who, it's all crash bang wallop, isn't it? It's not,
Yeah.
let's sit down and let's make an explanation of why this is happening. Why why is he jumping up all of a sudden? Is his regeneration caused him to soil himself so aggressively that he's had to leap forward? There's no rule to it, and it is so
And
frustrating.
John, I'm disappointed with you because you must have had all the training at work about on net zero and everything. But honestly, he must be. I'm sorry, it's a little question, everybody. Is he polluting the universe with that? I mean, honestly,
Yeah,
he just goes. "Psh." I mean,
yeah.
has the universe asked for this debris?
Well, to be honest with you, if he'd spoken to Labour and Ed Miliband, they probably would have built things round him, wouldn't they? To be honest, a
Yes,
few
stuck a
solar power panels, and they'd keep
windmill up
themselves
his
going.
ass.
Yeah, he'd like
Oh,
that, wouldn't he?
oh, John, don't start me. They'll have in the future. They'll have solar panels on the TARDIS. I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, tell you
yeah,
what.
yeah. And as you open up the wheelchair ramp, there'll be panels on there as well. We can see it happening.
Oh
High
God,
high caliber writing. That's what we're talking about right now.
I know. I mean, we can't guess all this, can we? So good to see the thread. It was all the last minute, last minute, don't you know? But like I said, 2 shows today for you to check out. Donald Cowie. Is it wrong that part of me just wants someone at the BBC to make a decision on the fate of the show? If it's Donald,
Yeah.
we're in that flux and we can't avoid it. It's legal flux. We've got 2 years at least of Sony, Bad Wolf, and RTD and Disney still being kind of sat on a contract. Remember the 90s? Remember the Doctor Who movie? We had to wait. That's
All
where
you
we
get,
are.
all you're going to get is for the next few years the stock quotes from executives at the BBC going, along the lines of, we think very highly of Doctor Who. It's a very important brand to us. You know, we'll update you as and when we can, you know, or something like that, and then it'll be repeat, you know, next time someone is strung out at a convention or something like that. You know, that's what you're going to get, isn't it? You'll get nothing else substantive from these people.
Yeah. So I teased everybody, but you know me, I will deliver. Let's hope so. Anyway, this is what Millie Gibson said in relation to the thumbnail I was showing you. And so, of course, that was the thumbnail. This isn't the Doctor Who I know. She was referring more to her dad, actually. But anyway, to that point, she also detailed there's so many controversial elements to season one, the good sort of controversy, and it's what we need to see on our tellies. Right, okay, Millie Gibson has an opinion. She even admitted that many viewers will be put off by the show. Some people might think this isn't the Doctor Who I know, but I'm really excited to see it. It's really cool that they're doing concepts like these and changing it up. Now, we have people who will say season 18 changed it up. Season 7 changed it up. There's 2 examples out of loads. Season 1 in 2005. So we're all up for that, aren't we, John? Yeah, you can change it up. You can change the style. You can change various things, but
you respect the core of it.
Yeah, I feel as though when they talk about controversy, I mean, look, there's 2 paragraphs next to each other. She says a good sort of controversy, and then talking about concepts like these are changing it up. What you mean? Doctor Who's always about change, so we can throw in any controversial topic we want. I disagree.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is oh, okay. There's been change throughout the history of the show, and it's been updated and what they would say is modernized over time and through different productions with different styles. But what they've all done is they've stuck to the core element of what Doctor Who is. Whereas these people came in and they decided to throw the book out and go, you know what, we're not actually going to do a Doctor Who show. We're actually going to do a gay soap opera. That's what we're going to do, or an LGBTQ plus soap opera. That's what we're going to do, and that's what they did.
So people are starting to get into this. Stephen O'Neill, crisis. What energy crisis with Shooty's regeneration energy? we could have put some electrodes up his backside, and we could have charged the Great British UK output for the next millennium.
The trouble is that if you'd done that, he probably would have enjoyed it and stayed on for another few years.
Yeah, I mean, but he wasn't.
So his light would diminish.
It's like a regenerative fart. But every time you say Poppy, he goes, "I need to go, and he goes, right, okay, then that's charged up Wigan." Stephen O'Neill, you'll be happy with that one. Farsight, they didn't change it up; they altered it beyond recognition. There you go, and that's not even nuanced Farsight, is it?
Well, to back Farsight up, I mean, just look at that image over there on screen. You know, I mean,
Beautiful.
that shouts the Doctor to you, doesn't it? You know, without a doubt. I mean, it's just like looking at the 4th Doctor, isn't it? You know, when he's doing his promo. You know, outstanding stuff, standing stuff.
It's almost like he got one of the outfits that Romana was trying on.
He looks like, you know, those like marshmallow sweets, like someone's assaulted him with a load of, you know, those marshmallow sweets, you know, that he used to get
I think he's been swallowed up by them 70s, shag pile carpets. Donald's done a follow-up. Well, there you go. We do have to do shonky chats as well. But anyway, so follow-up question. Do we have to wait until Disney contract expires, as it was a 5-year contract? Well, this is when even my media insider can't say, because they're not all in the room. They can do their educated guess. So as me and John have speculated, if it's this 5-year contract and there's still 2 years to go, within reason, Bad Wolf and Disney could still get something together and do a one-off special with, say, Billy or David Tennant or whoever they wanted. It's still there. And the BBC might want to have it on their schedule. They might give it a go. I mean, they let us do that nonsense regeneration with Billy Piper, so they'll do anything. Anything for a quick book, really. So
yeah,
it is possible, but it's not the Doctor Who that we're talking about. We're talking about a new Doctor Who series, and that's not happening. that's going to have to wait for 2 years at least. And that's where everybody's aware. My understanding, and like I said, I talked to the source on Sunday, is there's an awful. We've got a bit of a kickback from America where, there was the strikes and everything. And a lot of people are sitting on ideas, but because of this horrible climate of DEI and everything, they're all sitting on them. They don't want them to be chewed up
Yeah.
and ruined.
Well, it doesn't surprise me. Uh, I mean, I really hope that, to be honest with you, I'd rather that they don't give us any Doctor Who if they come back with RTD and Co and Billy Piper in the next few years. I'd rather they leave it and it comes back at some point when there's actually adults in the room who will actually produce it, if that ever happens. But I'd rather decent scripts and stories are left until that time to be used, as opposed to what this lot could potentially do to damage those scripts.
Yeah, I know, and I agree. Looking at what Gibson said a little bit more, some people might think this isn't the Doctor I know, but I'm really excited to see it. Says she. It's really cool that they're doing concept like that. So basically, they acknowledge that some Doctor Who fans or viewers who really know their Doctor Who might say, this isn't the Doctor Who I know. But I, as an actor, are very excited to show you that this new version. Surely it has to be more incremental than that. Surely. There's nothing wrong with change. But to do such a dramatic change from, say, Horns of Nymon, or
Yeah.
Sharda, as was going to be, to Leisure Hive, you could see it was the same show. It had a different vibe, it had different music, it had, different costume. Yes, there was quite a lot of change, but it was still clearly Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Now, I suppose the argument now is, in the last 2 seasons, that's been really pushed to its limit.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I was just going to say, I'm just going to respond to Cliff there. Good to see you, mate. But where he said about the Disney involvement is only distribution. We don't even have any confirmation that Disney had any say in content or story. Well, we do, because they changed the Christmas story, didn't they? They gave them
Yeah.
notes and feedback on that, which they had an input in it. So,
And as you know, my media insider said that Disney were phoning, Disney were trying to contact RTD. They were given all their tiny, when I say tiny, they have a micro level amount of data from all across the world. They could have really helped with where is it tanking, where is it working.
and if you're going to give allegedly $100 million, you're going to want an input, aren't you? The only downside here is the fact that they didn't have enough input, by the sounds of it, because look what we got.
Him. They
Yeah,
actually trusted him. This is what was crazy. So we're going to look at, everyone can tell us their favourite and worst regenerations where they thought it was overdone or whatever. But, we'll get to that in a moment. But obviously, Russell Davies has talked about Doctor Who in many iterations. Now, this one, how safe or not is it, John? I remember the regeneration of William Hartnell. So I've seen all 11 Doctors, as he said then. And it always slightly contradicted itself. If you're determined to be rigid in your continuity, it doesn't make much sense to be a Doctor Who fan, because you're never going to be happy. It's almost 50 years old, but essentially it's still the same story without a reboot or cannibalization. We're so lucky as fans to have that. But 12 years later, John, I think I'll politely say it's creaking at the seams. I'm thinking it's almost, like it's almost like it's a very long shelf of ice. And these last 12 or 13 years of Doctor Who have gone so far beyond that gravity's about to break it off. And it's nothing like the original show. Maybe RTD was right then, but he's not right about this concept now.
Well, I'm paraphrasing as well, but when he came back, he said about Disney, and he said that, he needed to make sure that it was looked after, that people didn't mess with the show, the legacy of the show. And it was in one of the magazines. I think it was Doctor Who magazine at the time. And it's like, the brass balls on the guy to actually say this stuff and then go ahead and do what he's done. It's ridiculous. It really is. I mean, that was, this just reinforces everything we've seen everything that he talks about is just completely out of his backside all the time, because you cannot say this stuff and then go and do what he's done, which is to dramatically alter the history of the show. And you're 100% right. It's an ice sheet that's broken off now. It's an iceberg that's floating by itself, and because it's not very good, that iceberg is sinking further and further into the ocean right now.
There seems to be a net zero climate change theme to
it. Could I have been doing some reading today, I wonder? For the first time in my life.
So Grizz Redford, when J&T took over, it gave the series a refresh that the series needed. This is the season 18, isn't it? Sadly, he stayed too long. He should have gone with Davison. Grizz, when you think about that, though, I also understand that J&T knew that if he did leave, the BBC were just going to end it, because nobody else was interested in Doctor Who as a project. And that was then. Now, my media insider, as you know, from the recent quote, says nobody wants to touch Doctor Who because it's not, you can never take any kind of any kudos for it because it's somebody else's idea and baby. You're just going to take it and hope that you don't wreck it rather than come up with your new stuff. Regenerate by Bergerac, that's different, but Doctor Who, it's such a toxic thing. So J&T, if he left, it was over. So in a way, J&T was always going to stay too long, and in a way, yeah. But are you glad you got those last couple of McCoy years? If he'd gone earlier, you would never have had them. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm being a McCoy fan. I'm glad we did. I think what we will find over the next, I would say, couple of years, we will start seeing revisionist history from RTD at some point, where he'll come out and he'll go, I had to do this because they were going to cancel everything and I had to save the show, to try and change the narrative to become the hero, of his own story. When we all know the fact is, no, it's not that. It's all the quotes you've said the last few years is complete nonsense, because you've gone against what you've just said a few minutes ago, Brendan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I keep mentioning this person. I'll be talking to him again tomorrow. My God, it's getting even better, isn't it? Talked on Sunday, talking tomorrow, meeting again soon. And oh my God, there's some tasty stuff coming up. Oh my God. You've got to.
Do you know what? I found out what happens with you and the Source. You're there with Jamie and you're watching a bit of telly and it's dark outside, and then you see a flash of a light from a torch, 2 or 3 flashes, and you're like, he's here. I'll be back later, and you're talking under a street lamp somewhere, talking about the saucy details.
He's like the Watcher. He's like,
yeah.
Whoa, hold on, Adric. I must go over to talk.
He slides a paper bag across to you, and it's a missing episode as well.
oh, yeah. Can you imagine? And I will. Yeah. Well, there's an element of that coming up, isn't there? So, there's a lot to tell everybody in the future. But, at the moment, it's fun just saying, who the hell is this person? Media executive, diverse portfolio, been in the business quite a while, knows their stuff, knows their onions, as they say. And I'm not him. And see if we can guess tonight. I'll give us clues as we go.
YouTube is melting with everyone pondering, thinking, sweating over who is the source.
Be allowed to make contact with the source.
Prepare for access to the source.
Therefore, claim rapport with the source, so that you may make your judgment.
I feel as though I should be in some sort of cloak and everything, and you all have that kind of throaty voice. Hello, and here's a brown paper envelope. And
do you know what? The source, he or she, will be sat there probably at home right now in a chair with a nice glass of whiskey or something and a cigarette, going. Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Give me more of that.
He'd be going, he's like the toy maker and I'm his puppet. It's like, I'll have to disagree with some of his quotes at some point. So yes, that's Russell T talking about the Doctor Who that we know. While I'm on that screen, though, I will take one little kind of nudge to nostalgia, because that's the way it should be with Doctor Who fans. We don't all want to be charged up with just all the negative. So, John, here's a freebie.
Can we cross one off? Can we cross one off quickly? Is that okay?
Yeah, let's play bingo. Oh, Savage Grace is just. Oh, well, I'll just before, because I'm not very good at these. I sometimes miss them. Savage Grace, lovely name, by the way. Thank you, very generous. Brendan, are you open for us to ask questions that you can relate to the source? Well, yeah. I was asking him loads of questions on Sunday. I'm trying to be dead sociable because I want to be sociable, and he's a friendly guy. But
Yeah.
I was also trying to say, but what about? What about? Now, of course, he's got nothing to do with Doctor Who, but he gets all the whispers, or as many. Well, he gets more than me and you. So yes, I don't see why not Savage Grace. We could try it, and for that lovely generosity, I'm about to ask John what's his favourite regeneration, but I'll show this clip first. Oh, this is nice. This is nice. Just remember, I'm your granddad. Yeah, Susan. Wait, what's going on here? Put your hand off that. What's it? Love all your work on Doctor Who, RTD. I've always got my hanky out. How many more seasons of Doctor Who have you written? You never know, I may have written as many as 5! Feels different this time. Oh, regenerating! You unearthly child. There we go. So, I jump to my other slides, but what's your favourite regeneration, John?
Oh, that's a question, isn't it? I think for me, it's the 5th Doctor into the 6th Doctor for Caves of Androzani, because as a kid, I was just buzzing. It was just full action all the way through, and getting back to the TARDIS at the end, and he's carrying Perry, and he collapses with the milk of the Queen Bat or whatever at the TARDIS doors and almost drops it, gets the key in. And then this, wonderful stuff. I really love this. I love the bit where, it's the delusion of the master as well. No, Doctor, you must die, Doctor. Wonderful stuff. And then this with Colin,
Wasn't the most momentous bit for you when he goes, Adric?
No, it's probably the cleavage of Perry, to be honest.
I know. I was keeping it clean, but I knew we had to go there. But
you knew I was going to go there.
Yeah. Did the thread notice that? I just said he had a freebie, all 62 years of Doctor Who. What's your favourite, most meaningful, emotional regeneration? And he went for the one where he saw cleavage.
Yeah, that was strange. That isn't it?
That's the level of it.
That was impressive. Well, I forget how old I was at the time, but it was that impressive, and it wasn't even HD.
Well, so thank God she hadn't been swimming. So, yes, I like this.
You could have say that about Turlo, couldn't you? He went swimming as well, didn't he?
I was watching this in the bath.
Yeah.
When we used to have a colour portable, and we had it balanced on this plastic washing basket, and we kept it away from the bath. We
didn't care about health and safety then, did we?
But there was no health and safety. Well, you had the electric fires up there, but it was that one of them big white plasticky.
Yeah, and
it sometimes it buckled. But I got it just right, and it was Friday. I think it was Friday night, and I just wanted to. Well, we all needed a bath and everything, so basically, it's quiet time. I could watch a regeneration, and I'm in the bath, so I'm watching. But and of course, then you're transfixed, becoming a prune as you're going. Oh gosh, yeah, and seeing all these effects, which were amazing for the time.
Oh yeah, wonderful.
And where do you go on this one though? Logopolis set it up where you get all the companions and some of the chief villains that he faced.
Yeah.
Then they do it again, and I'm starting to get a bit irritated that this is what happens. I know they say when you die, it flashes before your life, and that's kind of the thing we're going for, isn't it?
I was okay with it, but the one thing that I was, even then I was baffled with, why did he have Chameleon in there?
Yeah, yeah.
I
mean,
was like, no, come on. That must have taken several hours with a tape deck just to get that,
that
just to
that
get that
means that
image
when
done.
we all die, we see cars we couldn't fix. We
Yeah.
see DIY projects that were disasters. That we,
Yeah.
oh God, that'd be a lot.
Exactly. And I, at one point, I thought Tegan was just going to moan at him. Oh, die, Doctor. Go on.
Yeah,
You're
die, Doctor,
lazy.
get me back to Earth.
Yeah.
Get me the next flight. Stephen O'Neill from Wigan did give you a call out. Best regeneration, Tom Baker to Peter Davison, but John Pertwee to Tom Baker is a close second. We may come to them, obviously, because I ain't said mine yet. Although it is tricky, this. But
It is.
we're giving John his pleasure for a moment. But he did mention the milking of the Queen Bat.
You make me sound really seedy now.
I know. This is a
Giving
very
John his pleasure.
well. You're Dickie Knees. You're the Dickie Knees of the sense for you.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, this is it. So I mean, I don't know. The milking of the Queen Bat is always what fascinates me. I'm thinking this is just so kind of Perry.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, joy to the world. I'm going to euthanize for a little kid that none of us really cared about. Who was wandering the back streets of Nigeria for about 2 seconds, but we don't know why, and was a non-event in Space Babies. And he's going to euthanize and change the universe for that. And then meanwhile, in this one, your favorite regeneration, he has to go, Perry, I know you've got leprosy, but I'm going to go and milk a queen bat who's nodded off. She's given me no consent, and it's the last queen bat milk that exists, so she's going to die out as a species. But
yeah. I'll leave you to get perved over by Cheryl's check.
well, if it's a battle of the cleavages, clearly the queen bat wasn't very good because he only had a test tube, didn't he? I mean,
Exactly. Yeah.
she looked massive in that kind of drawing.
You got the Fifth Doctor there going to the Queen Bat, going, just try and relax.
Express yourself, Madonna said.
If you're too tense, we're not going to get enough milk.
Yeah, and actually, I don't want Perry, so just a bit, just a smidgen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Paul Ashworth, thank you very much. The best regeneration was Tom to Peter. I think I'm going to have to go and reference that in a minute because it's been mentioned twice now. But Paul Richards, 3rd to 4th, 4th to 5th, and 5th to 6th. Is this when we were kids, Paul? You sometimes wonder whether it's the nostalgia thing as well. I'm just putting it out there, But Nicola Dolby says best regeneration was Capaldi to Whittaker. Interesting one, actually, because it was well directed. It was because I was waiting to see how the hell are they going to play her. And
I did enjoy it when the TARDIS kicked her out the doors in the sky. I mean, that was the best bit of the regeneration. I thought it was top draw.
I mean, there was something to it though, because you were in her mind's eye for a second, and then with her confusion about what was going on. It was weird.
What I don't get about that, you're right. If you're going to do it like as in the mind's eye to start with, keep the mystery up. But you've announced her as the Doctor a few months earlier during Wimbledon, so everyone's seen who it is. I think you get far more of a shock factor if you're doing that mind's eye look and nobody knows who it is at that point. That would have worked so much better. Yeah.
Yeah, if they can. Julie Coonan, every regeneration is traumatic for the right reasons. Will I like the new Doctor? Will it ruin Doctor Who for me? I have to say, give me a couple of episodes and I've moved forward with the Doctor until the recent situations. Yeah. So this one's been named by quite a few people. It was funereal. It was very dramatic. He'd been the Doctor for so long, so it was quite massive. And yeah, I mean, it is quite dangerous when you slip on AstroTurf.
Oh yeah, you really cut your knees up as well.
I remember when Luton and Preston would always play on AstroTurf in the 80s. It was naughty, big bounce of the ball.
Big bounce.
In fact, when Tom Baker fell, he should have bounced.
Yes.
and then really, it wasn't. This isn't realistic because he would have had a horrible skin graze where it rips your skin off.
Yeah, it does. It does. He would have bounced up, slapped the master. that would have been it. Bosh, we carry on. But of course, as we know from the wonderful, talented writing of RTD, he didn't die. His broken body still carries on to this day, you know.
Yeah, somewhere. Yeah, I know. Cliff Maxwell, I can say that I hate all the glory business of the. Yeah, I do as well, because I feel as though this is when we've broken into fantasy.
I didn't mind the first time. I didn't mind the Eccleston one, but then every one after that, I just got fed up with it. And I thought, try something different. And this is what I mean. I want the Doctor to lie down again. You're meant to be mortally wounded, not doing cabaret around the TARDIS console when you're
Yeah,
about to pop out of existence, you know.
and give him one or two decent lines, but leave it at that. You know, it's the end, but the moment has been prepared for. I mean, Tom Baker had to put everything into those lines. That was it. Whereas now you get blooming hell, War and Peace.
Yeah, I mean the Tenant. I mean at the end of time, one thing I get it. It was good from a dramatic point of view for the story and Tennant's acting, but when they did the whole, where he's talking to Wilf in the cafe and he goes, "Oh, I'm going to die," and then another me saunters off. It feels like dying. That never struck me as being the Doctor, because the Doctor is all about, same man with a new face, but he's changing. It is still the same being, but they played it that he was dying and his essence would be gone essentially. But it's not the case with the Doctor, is it? The Doctor that always carries on, but he's just got a different personality to him. I find that was very strange in End of Time.
I find it problematic that they're making it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And the one thing I applauded RTD for is that it was to save Bernard Cribbins. That was it. It was just right back down to what he fought. He fought Razalon and all the rest of it. But oh my God, in the end,
an old man he wants to save. Yeah,
this old war veteran, and it and the Fornox. It was fantastic. Yeah. And I think that's what a Doctor regeneration should be all about. And I think in the writer's tale, RTD had actually understood the essence of this in a way, because he said he's fighting on planets and cosmos and all the rest of it. But in the end, it's always something tiny that gets him. And so William Hartnell's, it was just old age of that body. Troughton, it was forced. Pertwee, it was what do you call it? Atonement, wasn't it? He'd been a naughty kleptomaniac, and so he had to face his inner, guilt and everything. It's that level normally, and actually saving Perry because they both got themselves into a Spectrox nest. That level, I think, works, and I think where we've gone wrong with Doctor Who is it's saving the whole cosmos and all this and flying through space, and the TARDIS is always crashing. It's too spectacle. It's too hyper. You can never land it. You can never have the impact, and it's not emotional. I don't care.
No, and we'll get on to. I'm sure it's going to be one. I reckon it might be your favourite potentially, and when we get there, and we'll talk about that one. But yeah, I do agree. It's got to be that more personal approach that yes, you can save the universe, but when it comes down to it, you're trying to save one or a few close people in proximity to you, and you're making the ultimate sacrifice as the Doctor. This is what was this is what I did like about the End of Time, but he didn't want to go. He was trying to he was the beggar to his own demise in the end, wasn't he? Because essentially because he delayed going to arriving at that particular time, he wasn't quick enough to stop the Master from getting loose and everything to go to pot. So he was the writer of his own prophecy at that point. But I do like the fact that he does accept his fate at that point. He's like, he has his little rant and then he's like, you're right, he's going to save Wilf. Whereas, we talk about, the other Doctors in the history of the show and what they do and the sacrifices they do. It's wonderful stuff. And that just, it hits you. I mean, there's a lot of these regenerations that I will still watch to this day, and I'll be like, that's just epic stuff. You know.
I think this was the Tennant regeneration was unfortunate for two things in a way. One is only the year before we'd had the Hawks one. And that was emotionally charged, and it was done like a love story, and it was done at the very end of the very one of the I found one of the best New Who first
Yeah,
episodes, Stolen Earth. That was one of the. It was just amazing
yeah,
episode, and to end on this hoax regeneration, and I love the forced regeneration of it being an extermination. Wow, that. But the trouble is, a year later, and he's doing a final lap, and I'm thinking, all right, will you go now, please? It,
yeah.
they'd used all the emotion up on an earlier hoax.
They had, yeah, and you know, the whole all the stuff with Good Queen Bess and all that, you know, was just the fluff on top of it, which I didn't like. You know, I liked how he wrote. I'll give RTD credit. I liked how he wrote the end of time, that scene with Bernard Cribbins at the end, you know, and Wilf. That was lovely stuff. But yeah, it didn't. But the whole stuff afterwards about he's going on his farewell goodbye tour,
Yeah.
you know, and he's like you say, you know, he's mortally wounded, but he's off. You know, he can pilot. He's not well, but he can pilot the TARDIS exactly where he needs it to be, you know,
Yeah.
to see whoever he wants to see, and then he can look at them from a distance. You know, when Mickey and Martha have got together and they've defeated he's defeated the Sontaran, and he just stares at them from a distance. Yeah, that's dramatic. I get that, but that's not the Doctor for me. You know, the Doctor literally at that point, he should be lying down on the TARDIS floor and the cloister bell should be playing or something like that. You know,
Well, you see, that's it. The bloody cloister bell's getting used all the time now. There's like some monk at the back of, rang back. Now, let's explain here. Good to thank you, and thank you for your generosity. Has been Tom Baker, after 7 years of Doctor Who, falling off the telescope and smiling at the end with the Watcher being the Doctor all this time. I like that portent of death. I'm not grim. I'm not, maudlin, but I kind of liked how it was scripted and it was foretold, and there's and actually it's a bit like they say tax and death you can't escape. And in a way, Tom Baker's Fourth Doctor knew what it was, and you got that music, and it's just there waiting for you, and it's the Grim Reaper.
yeah, and again, you know, what was it? Christopher H. Bidmead, wasn't it? You know, and
Yeah.
he was an intelligent guy, an intelligent writer, and I liked all of that element to it. I mean, you've got the iconic scene before you even get to the regeneration. I love it when they look up at the bridge and the Watcher's looking down at them.
Yeah.
And then the Doctor goes, you know, wait here. And you see him talking up there. And then he comes back and they go into the TARDIS and he says, we must be prepared for the worst. You know, and it's like, you're at that point there. For me, I've always felt before he even comes back and says that or even goes up to the Watcher, when he sees the Watcher, he knows exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
He knows what it's all about at that point. I honestly think that when he looks up at the bridge.
He goes, oh no. I'm just trying to help out. Tony, we're
Yeah.
going to go back to our kind of spiky stuff in a moment, but just on the nostalgia front, folks, yes, to be fair, Tony Fowles' TARDIS, the best regeneration because it was so novel, the first. Best emotional one, John to Tom. And he does look so ill. They've,
Wonderful.
it's a good fall. I mean, stage fall, very good. On a hard floor. And give him a cushion, that's nice. And
one of those flat ones from the 70s chairs, you know, you used to get in the canteens.
yeah.
Not
So,
cushion at all.
That's a hard floor. I mean, at least the
Yeah.
other one landed on AstroTurf. But yes, and there you go. Yes, I know what you mean, Tony Farrell and Stephen Braddock. My big regeneration memory is John Pertwee into Tom. At the time, I thought the third Doctor had died, and then suddenly, who's this imposter? Where's my Doctor? It was done. I mean, come on, we were only 5. I was struggling with this whole concept of what was going on, and he was so in charge, the third Doctor, and then to see him like this, and of course, Sarah Jane's upset, and you're thinking, oh God. And it seemed like he was gone ages on Metabellus 3. I mean, and then suddenly it lands. He falls down. He's dying. And there'd been some horrible talk about death with the Shoji. And so as this little
Wonderful.
5-year-old, you kind of, whoa. And then Yes, as I said, it took me till the giant robot, not the giant, the robot stood on a daffodil,
Yeah.
and then I thought, oh yeah, I like this Doctor jumping out Land Rovers and stuff.
I mean, I've said to you before about this one, mate, on one of your shows. I've said that this is such a wonderful regeneration, because for me, every time I used to watch it, I still get emotional about it now, because it's like there's consequences to what he's done before, but it's also him facing up to those consequences and facing his fears at the same time. Because I said to you before, there's that wonderful scene in Planet of the Spiders where this Doctor that is so strong mentally and physically, that we've known throughout his run, and
Yeah,
that and the spider is just, the great one is just controlling his body and turning
yeah,
him round, and the way John Pertwee looks up with that fear in his eyes, it's
yeah,
fantastic acting. It's top drawer stuff. And this scene with regeneration, I agree. This is similar, and a lot of the other regenerations, it's similar to me of, when Spock died in Wrath of Khan, and you've got Shatner and Leonard Nimoy, just acting their pants off, and it's
yeah.
top drawer stuff. This is the same stuff that I feel with John Pertwee, and a minute ago, when we were talking about Tom, it's
Well,
great acting.
well, here I've got Savage Grace, who's just saying, don't forget, Brendan, the regeneration from Paul McGann to John Hurt. You'll notice on screen, I haven't forgotten. I've got them all, which is underrated because it was just a short filler story. I agree. I loved it. I'm so grateful that Stephen Moffat wrote Night of the Doctor. But
Yeah.
Savage Grace and John, is there a problem in this one? I'm glad it joined it up with John Hurt and all the rest of it. I love seeing the Sisters of Khan. I wasn't too sure, still aren't, about this kind of, do you want to be a warlike doctor? Do you want to be
Yeah.
a diva doctor? Do you want to be a this? Hold on a minute. I know the Romana thing in Destiny of the Daleks threw that up. I know the Tom Baker Doctor runs out the TARDIS, but with different costumes. He's got the same face. What do you think of this, John? Because I like it. Good acting. It really was atmospheric. It was well acted. I'm not too happy about the concept.
Yeah, I mean, I'll paint the picture for you. I came home in my lunch hour, and I put on the telly, and I put on BBC iPlayer, and it said Night of the Doctor. I went, Night of the Doctor? What's this all about? And I played it, and I was like, flipping heck, yeah, he's back, brilliant, and I loved every moment of it. But I agree with you. I don't agree with any of that stuff about choosing whether you're a warrior or that
Yeah.
stuff. I think my friend Ian David Diaz, he always says to me, I've had many a debate with him about this, and he says he hates it because he goes, hang on a minute, the ship completely at full speed smashes into the ground and he's fully intact when they find him. So he pulls it apart right from the word go, and I'm like,
Yes.
why have you got to be a bully to me about this? I like this. but also I would say the problem I have now looking back is what it led to going forward. This opened the doors to what we would get with the Timeless Children and all of that nonsense, and Joe Martin. If this hadn't happened, I don't think we would have got this, because I don't think Chibnall is creatively intelligent enough to come up with this kind of concept.
John, you do Big Finish. I skate on it, but we've got here Captain Havfun says Sisters of Khan gave him juice. They lied. It was explained in the Big Finish audio.
I'm not sure which story that's referring to, because there's some I haven't. Is this a Letter War Doctor one that you're referring to? Because I haven't listened to all the War Doctor ones. I've listened to the original 8th Doctor run.
That's the trouble. There's so many, aren't there?
I dipped out quite a while ago because it all started going woke. So I said goodbye to Big Finish. But I'd be interested in listening to that, because what I do like about kind of what they did, I think I've talked to you about this before, mate. What I never agreed with about McGann, Moffat had said something along the lines of he could never see the 8th Doctor being that Doctor in the Time War. I 100% could. From everything I've seen from the TV movie and the Big Finish audios I'd listened to, that Doctor definitely could. And I love the fact that in that short Night of the Doctor story, he's talking about the fact he tries to help where he can. So he goes around the outskirts of the Time War trying to help people. But the regeneration, I think, is played brilliantly by McGann. I'm not sure whether I agree with the warrior aspect of it.
Yeah, I don't like the fact that they can choose. I mean, poor Patrick Troughton never got to choose the second Doctor, third Doctor.
Yeah.
We're talking tonight from the starting point of this isn't the Doctor who I know. We're looking at the theme of change and the theme of regeneration and how it's been used and misused. And so here you've got Russell T Davies admitting his excitement and focuses on attracting new viewers to the series. Hold on, everybody. I'll just say that one more time. His focus is on attracting new viewers to the series.
Can I just ask, is this another series that he's referring to?
Yeah,
that he wants to tank Doctor Who and put them onto another show like Corrie?
This is Brendan doing timey-wimey dangerous for RTD. The gifts he gave us a year ago. He believes existing Doctor Who fans will come along for the ride. Hello, everyone. Oh, it's an empty room.
When he says come along for the ride, mate, does he mean, you know, when he's tied your leg to a rope that's attached to a toboggan going down a snowy slope and you can't get out of it? That's what I describe as going along for the ride.
I honestly don't know what he waffles on about half the time. And I hope they have a brilliant time, says Davies, who jokes that he is willing to go door to door to get new viewers to tune in. He might have to.
Is he still doing that right now?
Yeah. Knock a door run. Now, he carried on last year saying, I don't talk about coming back because it's a new show. Ah. Now, remember, when J&T did season 18, he didn't say stuff like this. When they talked about season 7, they didn't talk like this. They wanted that continuity. But I don't talk about coming back because it's a new show. I wanted the show to be bigger. I wanted to take the show forward. I wanted to be with a big streamer. I believe in the show. And so basically his whole concept of massively changing the show and what it really is, especially the Doctor, is for all these new fans that he wanted to find, and he knew we'd go along for the ride. Now, we can laugh now, but the point is, no, you've just proven, RTD, that this concept of changing Doctor Who has a limit, and you have gone way past it.
Yeah. I wanted to be with a big streamer, so essentially you altered the show as well for your own personal gain, not for the good of the show. So again, it backs up the evidence that he wasn't a very good steward of the show, was he?
Well, he didn't know truly. I think he sounded as though he knew what Doctor Who was in 2005-6, but he's stopped checking himself, and
he had
so
guardrails, didn't he? Then
yeah, he's built his own confidence, and less checks on others. And maybe one of the most dangerous statements he made, and we all mentioned it last year, was when he said that he doesn't want the cast and crew looking at old Who. Actually, no, you should, just to touch base, just to make sure is what we're making now looking like that. I think in 2005 they were very careful. Why were they not careful last year? And just look how 2005 it was a success, last year disaster.
Well, I think there were one thing I would say about in 2005, a big difference was he had some very good writers that were writing a lot of the stories for season 1. So those stories kind of stood out all by themselves. I mean, you know, Rob Shearman's Dalek is fantastic, you know, adapted from Jubilee, as I've said before. You've got Moffat on form as well. You've got other writers that are on form, and I think that really helped him for season 1. But I will say that they were careful with bringing in classic Who elements, because it was only really when you got to School Reunion with Sarah Jane that they were actually kind of saying this is the same show. They'd kind of skirted it before then, but then they moved into, yeah, it is the same show. Here's Sarah Jane Smith, and K9. But I think in the latest era that he's completely hacked to pieces, where he says there about he told the crew not to look at classic Doctor Who. I find that hilarious, considering that he ripped off classic monsters from the classic
Yeah,
Who. So it's kind of like, it's almost like a mixed mind, isn't it? You know,
it is. He's kind of got that kind of, you know, head in the clouds. Like, I'm trying to think. So he reminds me of somebody else. Yeah, me.
Funny that.
Yeah. If everybody says, "Oh, Brendan, he's obsessed with pillars," that's from previous shows. From the earlier news bites at tea time today that you must check out, as Lee Smith and a few others noticed, Brendan's eyebrows are quite key to a certain story. It just carries on. Me and Capaldi. There you go. Remember when Capaldi appeared? Just his eyebrows and eyes. Yes.
Yeah, fantastic.
So, yes, I've got people digging over the source and all the rest of it, but I just want to say we've just hit 2,000 subs in the last few days, so I'm just going to say thank you anyway. Oh, Fluxer washed him! Yeah, sometimes just say thank you for the sake of thank you. So, there we go. Oh, isn't that lovely?
Just want to push, don't you?
Well, all those railings, and it's still dangerous. I mean, when the cot was in there, I thought you're not going to have a baby in there. God. So Russell Davies also said it's the same character. The parts that are different, I don't even like that sentence. The parts that are different just happen in your head by looking at that person and hearing them. I am really struggling with the quality. Are we saying that the scripts recently have had such quality that you could plonk them in John Pertwee's lap or Tom Baker's or Troughton's lap?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, you can see the third Doctor going out on a Friday night with Joe Grant, and he's wearing a skirt on a dance floor and twirling around in it. You can absolutely see that 100%, can't you?
Yeah. I know.
And then coming on to Mike Yates so that Joe doesn't get a look in. You can see it all day long. You really can.
But the truth is, and yeah, I think I should mention my favourite regeneration because it's relevant to writing, which is it's the Matt Smith one because of the quality of writing. And Stephen Moffat is he's a canny writer. Sometimes he gets too clever. I sometimes find some of his plot devices are like, oh, are we? But I like his insight on death. I like his insight on various things. And what I know this is the hoax one, I know. But when it came to the time of the Doctor and he was back in the TARDIS, apparently naked, of course, Stephen Moffat needed a bit of that, didn't he? But but he put his clothes on just for the event. Oh, that's nice. I love this. I've used it. I've said it before, but why not say it again? The truth is, I used it in assemblies when we said goodbye to my year group. I said we were all, I was your head of year once. You were my students once. Another day, you're going to be an engineer. You're going to be this. We might be neighbours. You'll be dads and mums one day. We're all different people.
Yeah.
It just
100%.
works well. It's easily adaptable. And I saw our head once, one of our old heads. When I say old heads, he was a Doctor Who fan, but I never got on with him. He used the red button moment with John Hurt in Day of the Doctor. And I wasn't really into that, really. It was a bit too big red button crap. So the head came in and did an assembly to my year group, and I thought that was a bit shite. Because I thought, well, actually, you didn't contextualise it. It needed a lot of explaining for those people who weren't Doctor Who fans. So basically, it wasn't a meaningful moment. But I understood that this script, when he regenerated, you didn't need to be a Doctor Who fan to understand he was dying. And after hopefully a good, decent life, you've all been different things.
Yeah. It's wonderful. It really is. it's funny with the Matt Smith regenerations when he finally becomes the Doctor in the 11th hour. I get goosebumps still to this day when he steps through Tennant's face and he goes,
Yeah,
"I'm the
yeah.
Doctor." Wonderful stuff, really top draw stuff. But then also with this as well, I mean, it is really goosebumpy type of stuff. Matt Smith is just acting at top of his game, and you're sad to see him go because he's a great Doctor. But we were lucky. I mean, me personally, I was lucky because not only had I really enjoyed the Matt Smith era, and I was sad to see Matt go, but to see Capaldi turn up straight afterwards as well. And I'd been wanting Capaldi for quite a few years, you know, and I wasn't, for me personally, I wasn't disappointed in Capaldi at all. He turns up, you know. I do think this is where I get fed up with the silly Moffat humor where Capaldi turns up, doesn't he? And he goes, I don't like the color of my kidney or something like that.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I don't like all of that nonsense, but the rest of it, you know, do you know how to fly this ship? I like all of that because that's exactly what the Doctor would be like in Crisis. But here's another Doctor, Matt Smith, different to the 10th Doctor. He's accepted his fate. You know, you have him when he's old before, you know, because that's when it all begins, doesn't it? You know,
Well,
he's
it's just,
accepted his fate, you
but
know.
it's how thoughtful it is. You know, yes, I'm dying and I'm just having a moment on it. You know, I'm, you know, I mean, it's actually quite scary what he says when he says you're just breath on a mirror.
Yeah.
That is frightening because that's like, you know, when you were a kid at school, sometimes we were told things like you're as tiny as one salt, you know, one sand piece in the whole universe. And when you used to look, you think, God, I'm nothing. I don't really know. Nobody will never notice me in my life. It's a bit of a
Yeah. And it's very good as well because when you're younger, when you're a kid, you think you're going to go on forever. You think everything's going to carry on as it was, you know. And there's so many changes in life, like you say, your career, your relationships, family members that come and go. Everything changes. It's constantly changing
isn't
throughout
this
your life.
isn't it actually, so one of the truisms that they used to say is, you know, when you're a kid, hopefully if life has worked out quite nicely for you as a kid, that the order is you first learn about death through a pet, then a
Yeah.
grandparent. That should be the order of things
Yeah.
if you're lucky. But I would add to that, if you're a lucky child, what happens first is you learn from a pet dying, then a grandparent, then a doctor. And I think you learn a lot from a good Doctor regeneration.
Yeah, you do.
I don't know what a kid can learn from me shouting to the cosmos, going, I'm going to be noticed that I'm dying now, and I want the whole world to know. W.H. Auden did that famous Stop All the Clocks, and the whole point of that poem was, I'd like the world to notice I'm hurting, but no, the world carries on. And that's the whole horrible thing about death in any family, which is the world just carries on as if it didn't happen. It's horrible. And in a way, I don't know, it's just all the one way around. The diva regenerations, I'm going to blast the TARDIS, I'm going to blast the universe, I'm going to shout, I'm going on a world tour like the Rolling Stones. That's all wrong. That's too big-headed. That's too show-off. And it's not teaching kids that it's a very quiet, sacred moment. It's actually one of our rites of passage, isn't it? It's one of our...
Yeah.
It's the final sacrament. It is the final moment, and it's sacred. Remember when Benetton took a photograph? Can you remember when Benetton took that photograph and it was of somebody dying, and and everybody said, that's gone too far. I think it was an AIDS victim or something. I think
That's right. Yeah.
And everybody said, no, death is sacred. You shouldn't be photographing it. And in Doctor Who, I think we get the pitch right most of the time. Actually, the Capaldi death as well, when he said there ought to have been stars. I did like that. That was a nice touch.
Yeah, I think this is definitely up there. You know, it is really a wonderful regeneration, and you know, it does pain me now because you think, God, how good we had it. You know.
Yeah.
You know, but then again, you know, what is it they say? You know, how good things are and how popular they become. People come in and they co-opt them, and they destroy them because of how successful they become, and that's exactly what's happened, isn't it?
Yeah, but even the Capaldi death, the thing that's starting to irritate me no end, John. Okay, I've gone to death about the Tinkerbell fairy dust. I just found that, but it's the other thing that they delay it, kind of absorb it back into their palm for a moment when it's more suitable, as if death can be chosen. No,
And the
when
snow, yeah,
when you even watch Meet Joe Black, I loved Meet Joe Black the movie because you can't deny death.
no,
When it comes, right? Okay,
yeah,
oh, you've come early, oh dear. So this nonsense that they've started putting into most doctors now delay it and say, right, I'm dying, but Yaz, we're going to have an ice cream first.
yeah,
No,
no.
David Tennant, I'm going to go on a lap of the world and do things. No. Um,
Well, I'm sorry, mate. I've got to disagree with you here. If I fall off a giant skyscraper, what I'm going to be doing clearly is I'm going to be crawling to the nearest ice cream van and getting a Calippo before I go to the hospital. Clearly, that is what I will do, mate. Priorities.
if you have got that amount of regeneration energy that blasts a universe and blows up a TARDIS, if you get hold of an ice lolly, it's not going to last.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So,
just a cone.
yeah. Leave the 99er. Doctor Once, that's a new name. Interesting. I love all the seeing the icons.
Yeah, you can
Capaldi's
see it.
Doctor Who was dreadful. Not entirely his fault, but he didn't help matters. Moffat was the main culprit. He's got bored of what Doctor Who'd become and thought the audience had also got bored. Now, can I agree mostly with the statement about the Moffat bit? Because I have been saying this for a while about RTD, Moffat, and Chibnall. They are, what do they say? Familiarity breeds contempt. They are Doctor Who fans. They are so familiar with the Doctor Who concept that they want to change it. So they come up with this ruse and say Doctor Who's always about change. And then voila, they've changed Doctor Who in their likeness. So Doctor Once, I agree entirely that they get bored with what we love.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you on that. I mean, I think I've said to you a couple of months ago, I went back and I watched the Capaldi run again, and I really enjoyed it. I did the first time, and I agree. It's not the greatest of seasons. There's some clankers in there, but watching it back now compared to what we got afterwards, it's still on a higher level of quality than what we got in the Whittaker and the Gatwa era. But I do agree. I mean, this is where it started going into silly season, where I was starting to roll my eyes when suddenly he, what is it, the Witch's Familiar, where he comes in on a tank playing a guitar, and
Yeah.
I was like, this isn't just jumping the shark. This is jumping the shark and a shark tank at this point. It's getting that silly. So it was already on a bit of a sliding scale there. But for Capaldi, sensational actor that can lift the poorest of scripts.
So we're hitting on regenerations. I'm trying to dabble with all of these lot, as well as get some tasty stuff. There's our group, and of course it was in the LA Times last year when Jane Tranter and Julie. I was nearly going to say Julie Goodyear, Julie Garden, were talking, and they said this. Okay, often with the regeneration of the Doctor comes a new era. What it means is that the show by necessity gets a kind of injection of freshness because the Doctor changes, the writers change, the showrunner changes, the producers change. Now, this all sounds great, John, until you realise it's the same showrunner, the same producers, the same writers, and the Doctor completely changes.
Yeah.
No.
This I mean, it does make you laugh, mate, because you're right. It's the equivalent of pass the parcel for a production team, isn't it? Over the last 20 years, who's going to stop the music? Who's it going to land on next? It is extraordinary, But again, by their own comments there, they are highlighting what has gone wrong. It's become tired because they aren't getting any fresh new people in to do it. You know, these people shouldn't have been brought back. If it wasn't good enough, if it was going to be cancelled or rested, let it be cancelled and rested until the right people rise to take it on and to make it a success again. But in desperation, they turned to someone that they thought they could trust, and look what happened.
Well, it's foolish. It means that BBC executives basically don't have any bravery. I keep arguing that they don't
Yeah.
understand what Doctor Who is, but they're not brave either. I really find it offensive, whether it's NHS or wherever, these top executives on massive wages tend not to want to make brave decisions.
Yeah.
And you think, why are you so... I tell you what you are brave about is fronting up and taking the money when
Exactly.
you really don't have any credibility.
It's all about keeping a salary, isn't it? Not making a
Sitting.
tough call. Yeah.
Sitting on the job. Rose Kirby, I tried to record one and last lines, unable to listen to Sylvester McCoy's Regeneration, Paul McGann's, David Tennant's, because I cried like a baby. And yeah, I cried for the Logopoulos one. As I've told everybody, it was a mixture of my two granddads dying in that year and then losing the fourth Doctor, and it but blurred together. It was healthy, but it blurred together. And I think sometimes that happens. You know, you are upset. You have a tragedy in real life, and then a movie or a song, something brings the tears, and we need to do that. It's healthy.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know about my dad passing, and I've talked to you about those Doctor Who quotes, and I've gone back and watched them for the first time since he's passed. And it's interesting how I'm emotionally being affected by it post my dad passing to what it felt like for me watching the stories before my dad passed. It was like a different experience for me because the writing's so good. You know, I've told you before about, you know, the Tomb of the Cybermen, the wonderful Doctor and Victoria's speech about sleeping in the mind, you know, wonderful stuff. And that's what I mean. Doctor Who has a way of doing that for me. It's been with me my whole life, but I'm now seeing it from a different lens to what I saw before. And that just speaks to the quality of the writing. And I'm talking more the classic era.
Yeah. I'll ask you in a minute about you and your dad and whether you watched it with your dad or not, and whether it's changed now, because that is something I haven't faced yet. But the other thing that it did definitely teach me is when you were at school, can you remember I had a best mate called Paul Hathaway in first year seniors, and he suddenly left and went to the other end of the country, Brighton, and that was the end of that. My friendship, my best mate left. Years later, a friend from being 4 or 5, John Henderson, left college, never saw him again. You know, in life, you have to get used to sometimes losing friendships.
Yes.
That sort of thing. And I think Doctor Who is really good at that, because you lose Joe Grant, you lose companions every few years, and the Doctor just has to front it out and say goodbye. You know, Tegan says, sorry, I'm not getting in the TARDIS now, I've had enough. And the Doctor's basically unable to do a damn thing. And really, that I could relate to that, because as a kid, when your mum and dad say, no, Paul Hathaway's moved, he's gone, the family moved. And so you're going, all right, so I'll never be able to see him. Well, not really, Brendan. You know, you have to suddenly front it up, don't you?
You do. And like you say, it's all part of that learning curve and that growth in life, isn't it? Really, you know, you step forward. And I think, you know, people in the chat, me and you, I mean, this speaks again to how wonderful this show was, you know, because it gets you on so many levels, because the writing is so good and it's well acted, and this is no wonder why so many people love it. And, you know, people flock to conventions to be involved with this wonderful show. You know, it is wonderful stuff. It really is.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you, by the way, Cliff Maxwell's agreeing with you on this one, and I'm sure it is with lots of people. I'm just lucky at the moment that both parents are, you know, there. So John, Cliff says, I had the same sort of experience. For me, it was my mum. We actually watched together back in the old days. So the renewal and hope being lost now, it's hard to process. I was going to ask you, wasn't I? Did you watch Doctor Who with your dad?
Yeah, I did as a kid. I did up until probably McCoy, when it changed to being my brother and a friend 2 doors up the road. We would watch it up in my mum and dad's bedroom with the TV. You know, where you used to lie across the bed just watching the TV with your hands like that?
Yeah.
That's when we got to that point. But before that, I mean, my mum and dad were, you know, they sat me down with Davison when I was a kid, a little kid, early 80s, and I was hooked on it from there. So they kind of they kind of pushed that interest in
Is,
Doctor Who.
is there a story? It's in relation to your dad, because having, sadly lost your dad, is there a story where you can really remember your dad being in the room or sitting with your dad and you've watched it since? And that's what I mean. It's that moment when you go,
I remember Remembrance of the Daleks, and I remember my dad like saying, "Oh, that's really good, isn't it?" You know, when you see the 2 Dalek factions turn up.
yeah,
But then I also remember in, 2005 when it came back, and my dad, like so many people here, I'm sure as you got older, I would come down because I didn't have many other people to talk to. I'd come down into the lounge and I'd see my mum and dad, and I'd start waffling on about, I've just watched The Invasion, and I'd start talking to them about what happened in it, and they looked at me like I dribbled down my chin, and then when I remember when 2005 Doctor Who came back, and I remember it was the Doctor dances, and I remember I had to go to a wedding, and I came back, and when I opened the door, my dad burst out and he said to me, "Really good episode of Doctor Who tonight. Oh, brilliant. You're going to love it. You can't wait. It's brilliant. I'm going to watch it again." And I was thinking, flipping out, must be good if my dad's watching it, because my dad had drifted away from it. A staunch BBC,
yeah,
worker.
yeah,
So there are some, Remembrance of the Daleks was one. I think towards the end, though, he kind of crept away because he knew it wasn't what it once was. But
yeah,
I would say probably Attack of the Cybermen was one as well. I've always got
yeah,
that image of sitting on his lap, and I
yeah.
always had this image of the 2 humans dressed up as Cybermen going up the steps. But wonderful stuff. But again, I don't think there's any other show in my lifetime that I have that connection with my parents
Yeah.
with. And Doctor
And
Who does that. I
we were
don't know
saying
about you.
we were saying this last night because we were watching. We've had the season 7 Blu-ray for a long time, like we all have, and
Wonderful.
but we haven't opened it yet. So last night I opened it properly, and we watched Spearhead from Space episode 1, which we've all seen before, of course. But me and Jamie both said afterwards, "Oh my God, wasn't that good?" And didn't it take itself seriously? And wasn't it? Whoa! And and actually, it was Jamie who said it. He said this was a time when you would sit with your family. Doctor Who, you
Yeah.
sat with your family. And that's the thing that's kind of been lost by all this nonsense now. Now, there's some amazingly emotional and meaningful stuff being said in the thread, and I do want to give everybody airplay because this is why Doctor Who elevates itself.
Yes.
Lee Smith, it's sad when friends move away. And yes, your doctor can sometimes show you how to do it. Savage Grace just came back from the hospital and was halfway through Nightmare of Eden when I got the call that he'd passed. Haven't watched that story since.
Very Savage Grace.
This is the trouble. Yeah, moments in life, and you relate it to whatever was in the charts or whatever, and you've got an association with Nightmare of Eden, and I think your dad passing. It's like, oh my God. Tidy boy, I just want to bring this in. I used to watch with my wife. She died aged 45 before Capaldi's last season. The show started going downhill after that for more than one reason.
Yeah.
But you watched it with her. This is the thing. It's awful, isn't it? I don't know what you watch with somebody. You enjoy slating it, slagging it off, laughing, enjoying it. And once that person's gone, I don't think even if Doctor Who's brilliant, it's almost bittersweet then. If Doctor Who was brilliant, you're going, I know, but they're not seeing it and I'm not able to share it with them because you realise the loss.
It's very difficult, but then sometimes you've also got to think, they wouldn't want me doing that. They would want me enjoying it. you've got to push forward. And I'll be honest, it took me a while after Dad passed to put it on. But another example I've got is, I always remember it, is I had a friend, when I was young, probably 5, 6, and he lived just up the road from me, and he was a Doctor Who fan. I used to go around to his house, sit in his lounge, and we'd watch Doctor Who on VHS, but he would always put on the Cushing Dalek movies, which we loved, and we'd watch them back to back. And they moved away and drifted away, and I didn't speak to him again. And I found out a few years ago, sadly, that he died due to a drug overdose. And again, you think back to those moments, when you're a child and you're having those wonderful experiences. But that's what you mean about life changes as you go, and sadly,
And this is such a
it can go
long,
bad, it can go good. You
and
just
this is
don't.
and this is a big long series. It's not like saying Tenko was on or Blake 7. I mean, this has clearly been on. When the Queen died, 70 years on the throne, and a lot of us were going, well, we didn't know anything before the Queen. Now, Doctor Who's not far behind it. We're all going, well, Doctor Who has been around for so long. It's been in everybody's life. So we can all relate key moments. Now, Graham here, and I do want to share these, because this is why Doctor Who really is up there. I have so many memories of Who connected to my late dad. He used to read Target books to me before bed, long before I could read. And that's lovely, that, because it's not reading bloody Janet and John. These are books, and it's like a parent when it's been a long day at work and you have to read quite a lot. But he must have seen, Graham, the delight and the imagination in you as he read the chapter of whatever happened to the crinoid or whatever else. And thought, right, that's got that. He won't leave that bed now because he'd be bricking it. But that's lovely. There's something that gets me upset when I think of dads and sons. I don't know what it is. There's different things, but me and Dad going to Lonleat 83, as everybody knows. Whoa, that's like, it's like got mythical status in my head. Peter Harrington, I watched horror movies on telly with my mum. I could stay up late, very much missed. It's a bit like when my gran used to let us watch horror movies in her big double bed. We were tiny kids, and it was the one where we saw, oh my God, was it them two sisters? It was black and white. It was Betty Davis and I think Joan Crawford, and the head comes off. She falls down. We were only about 4. We were going, wow.
I mean, it's funny how certain things trigger your memories. And again, for me, Doctor Who or, in some movies trigger my memories more than anything. I've still got memories of my granddad, bless him, who was babysitting us one night, and he sat me on his knee and he goes, we're going to watch this tonight. And it was Escape to Victory, and that is still burnt into my brain every time I watch Escape to Victory. It's that first moment of watching it on my granddad's knee. It's that trigger.
I obviously watched most Doctor Who in my mum and dad's house. That's when where we were Saturday nights. But the 1 or 2 times mum and dad went on holiday, I remember trying to watch City of Death Part 1 with Mitzi the poodle that always barked, and I was trying to tape it. And my grandma and granddad wanting the whole house to be quiet because I was tape recording. But so I remember City of Death Part 1, and it's got real memories of somewhere I've got a tape recording with Mitzi, long gone. I also remember Seeds of Death Part 1. It must be around December, January. I mean, please somebody tell me while I'm just doing this. I can't check at the same time. But I think it was over that winter period. So we were at my grand's and granddad's. It was unusual, you see. And we were all there. And we were, them tiny little houses, tiny terraced house. And a kitchen with a kind of glass kind of partition.
Yeah, I know.
And they had a tiny little table. They had the one telly in the lounge, but it was so noisy, and it was Doctor Who night, and I needed to see Seeds of Death Part 1. So, of course, they allowed this little kind of crappy little portable. And so on this black and white telly, where I didn't get much of a reception, and I'm looking at snow. I mean, all I could see was blooming snow in the Seeds of Doom Part 1. And I'm going, what's going on here? And then you see a little pod. But the music had me grabbed. and it
Yeah, yeah.
sounded gritty. But so you have these memories. I mean, we've gone from Regeneration to how this means something to us, and I think it's really important. This, everyone,
It's
Garbage,
linked, isn't it? Yeah.
yeah, Garbage, who's our moderator, please cheer him up. Garbage, who his channel, he's done an AI of what's her name, Sweeney. What's her name, Sweeney Todd? I don't know what's her name.
Yeah.
He's
Sydney
done
Sweeney.
He's done.
Oh gosh.
He's done a few. I think he's done a She-Hulk one. He showed me one, everybody. If you go to Garbage Who channel, he's done one where basically, because we were joking about Billy Piper's shoulders on Shooty's body, he's done one. I won't spoil a surprise. I had a terrible moment, he says, in my life. My wife wanted to watch Shooty. I didn't. We are now getting a divorce. Oh, well.
Sorry about that, mate. But yeah, Shooty will have that effect on anybody, I would think. Yeah.
Why did she want to watch Shooty? Did she like his booty? I don't know. So yes, yeah. Oh yes, I mean Lee Smith knows it's whatever happened to Baby Jane. Yeah, she was shown as that at the age of 4. God. And Solstice Dawn, that's part of the deep connection between fans and the character of the Doctor. We both remember their companions, friendships, and goodbyes. If I asked you all now, I could say to you, the companion leaving that had the biggest effect on you. I could ask you which Doctor Regeneration, all that sort of stuff, because it does mean a lot. Obviously, to me, I don't know, the Sarah Jane Smith leaving, story-wise, made no sense to me. I mean, now Leela went to Gallifrey. Everybody goes to Gallifrey. Nissa went to Gallifrey. It irritates me that, and I know it's a daft
like a hostel stay, isn't it? Now in Gallifrey at that point.
Oh, it's such. Look, Elizabeth. I'm aware. Liz Sladen left.
Yeah.
But Sarah Jane Smith left in the script because you're not allowed to go to Gallifrey, and now, of course, everybody goes to Gallifrey. Even Sontarans do. So that irritated me.
I think for me, yeah, it's Sarah Jane for me, because I just loved Elizabeth Sladen's portrayal. I loved the character, and those two were just iconic together. And that really is a bittersweet moment, that, isn't it? Where he doesn't want her to go, and he's like, until we meet again. And then, of course, they come back in school reunion and they try to make it a romantic relationship. But we won't talk about that too much.
No. Grizz Redford says, Lanford, I was so glad when she left. When Bonnie Lanford left. Now, I actually like her as an actress. Now, I didn't like Mel the first time round.
Wonderful by Sylve, though, wasn't it? The speech he gave.
But that Dragonfire, it was awkward because you had a kind of Bonnie Lanford little girl in it, the blonde hair. That whole story had precociousness everywhere. And so you lost Bonnie Lanford, which I assume, Grizz, that's the reason why you wanted her to leave. But then you got Ace. I have a few issues with Ace. Sophie Aldred, fine, but this Professor stuff and the Nitro 9, sometimes I got a little bit kind of about, maybe it was my age. Now, Russell T. Davies here, John, says the format is to be different every week. A different story, different setting, different cast, very often a different style every week. Now, I have no issue with that's Doctor Who, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean...
Now, you do have change. Yes, you 1 minute you're on Paladin, and the next minute you're on Earth, and the next minute. That's the sort of Doctor Who we like. Where he's tweaked it is that first bit. The format is to be different every week. So was he saying musical 1 week, comedy the next, a touch of horror 1 week? Because we never get Doctor Who back. What we get is lots of Bridgerton week. I don't want that. No, what we got is 1 week it's the Mummy, the next week it's the Thing, the next week it's the Hand. That's what we get.
Well, again, I don't know about style, because style, if you go back to the Hinchcliffe era, pretty much throughout that, there's a particular style throughout those seasons. I think what he's doing is he's just blowing smoke up his backside again, and is just writing anything to fit his new narrative. I think the format is to be different every week. Well, yeah, you did change the format to be different every week, but you changed the show to be completely different from what it was before. So, you know, it didn't really matter at that point if the format was different every week, because people didn't like what you'd done with the format of the show, you know.
So let's have a bit of fun here. Let's have a bit of fun while we come to the end. Oh, look at this shooty cat. Wow, Doctor Who in the UK is like a piece of furniture in your house. Bric-a-brac. It's something that we've all grown up with, that we all love. It's a cultural British institution that means a lot to people in our land, and that hasn't changed now. Oh, I know, but it's been blooming ambushed. That's the problem. Because it's seen as a cultural British institution, that's why it's been blooming ambushed.
And I find it interesting, though, it's people like him who clearly have never watched Doctor Who. You know, they just haven't. I don't buy it for a second that they've watched any Doctor Who. You know, it staggers me when they come out with these quotes, because I don't know. I don't know if the right word staggered. I think I just get tired of it, because it's clearly a PR agent's brief to say that sort of guff. You know.
Yeah. Now, as we get closer to wrapping up for my double dose today, didn't think that would happen. John is getting prepared, because I'm going to ask him, and I'm asking the thread, your worst regeneration then. The one that went too far, and you need to tell us the reason. Don't just list it, everybody. Just tell us the reason. So your worst regeneration, the one that you thought was blowing awful. Now, I know we've got some that were missing and they've been shown. You pick the version you want. I mean, that's part of the fun of it, everybody. So, John, your thoughts. What's the worst regeneration for you?
It's got to be Capaldi into Jodie Whittaker, because it broke the show. And that's the hill I'll die on, because I've said before, I'm a staunch believer in the fact that the Doctor is a asexual being from a male of his species. He's not female, and I don't agree with it. You know, come at me if you want to, but that's my stance. But as soon as this happened, it was downhill from there. And, you know, I just think it was awful from the first moment, really. And the whole stupid falling out of being thrown out of the TARDIS by the TARDIS, and then falling through the sky and crashing through the roof of a train, as we've talked about before, and then getting up and being, I'm all right. You know, the post regeneration energy is still in me. That will fix it. You know, again, that's what we were talking about at the beginning of the show. They don't even have any rules anymore. You know.
Yeah, I know that.
If you can survive that, you can survive anything, can't you?
It's done for spectacle, isn't it? So
yeah,
I take what you're saying. Obviously, I've got on screen at the moment the Geordie regeneration, but this was the famous one that was supposed to be fade to black. And then last minute again, they got RTD, and we have the three specials. So we got this strange one when suddenly she regenerated into, and the clothes regenerated, and we had that very strange moment. And of course, this is when we start to do this blast the universe nonsense.
And you know what, mate? I think I've said to you before, that location is approximately 20 minutes from my home. So whenever I drive through it now, I'm forever remembering Jodie Whittaker was on there, you know, and it sickens me, you know. If I was there on that day, I would have run over and just kicked her off.
Now I'm looking at what people, some it's the Tennant regeneration, some it's the Capaldi into Geordie. What else is everybody picking? I'm trying to think one I really, obviously we had I still can't cope with the Colin Baker Harpo Marx nonsense, you know, that I totally agree with Colin Baker. He was so right not to be around for that regeneration, because why would you? You've just been, you know.
I stand with Colin on that 100%. You know, messed about and treated like dirt, and that's why I was very, very grateful that he agreed to do one with Big Finish.
Yeah, you know? He did. But this is the version where. Sometimes I wonder about directors and producers and J&T. And I mean, in this case, do they think we really desperately need the continuity that much? the fans coped with just seeing the third Doctor fall out the TARDIS and spearhead from space. They coped with it.
Yeah.
We didn't have to see the actual blending. It's an amazing effect, but
Yeah.
and yes, I like to see Night of the Doctor with Paul McGann because it was a bonus. But if you're gonna put daft wigs on people and do another silly regeneration, because I had to guess, is it because she shot at the TARDIS and it crash landed that he bumped his head? So basically, it was a household DIY accident, was it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So what we're saying, as I said about the Jodie Whittaker one falling through a train, he's clearly got stronger as the Doctor's gone on in life, because he bumps his head and he regenerates here, but then he falls through a train
Yeah,
later on in the
yeah.
history of the show, and perfectly fine. Up, not even a sprained ankle.
So yeah, I know, and it's just so unfortunate because you think you need the Doctor to have a heroic death and for a reason, and this one was for the sake of continuity. We're going to stick a wig on him, and he's going to have no reason he died. It's like, oh, then don't show it. Don't show it.
Yeah,
So that's one of them. Obviously, Tidy Boy here. 10s went on too long. 11s was too over the top. 13's clothes regenerated. What? 14's, well, yes. And of course, there is the bi generation, which is the gift that keeps giving, of course. I mean, what can be said about the bi generation that hasn't been said already? I mean, because honestly, that was it. It's a, oh, where do you go with that?
yeah. What you mean? What coming out of Tennant's pee-pee?
Yeah, I mean they're doing some erotica there. Honestly, I mean it's like what the hell.
It's. I mean, I remember. I think I was talking to you about it, and we'd heard rumors about it, hadn't we, before the episode aired? And I said, surely they won't be that stupid. And then I think we both watched it, and no, we were like, yeah, they were that stupid, you know, only doing it because he wanted to stick by into the show. But I mean, this again, you know, the Jodie Whittaker era, it was on life support at that point. This, when we got here, it was basically necromancy, because it was gone. You know, it was contacting the other side and doing a seance at this point. It was that bad.
Yeah, and there's something about. I mean, you know, it's unfortunate the photograph, but Shooty's Doctor seems very happy about this.
Yeah.
And I think the David Tennant Doctor's going. Was this isn't quite how I imagined it in the script. And I'm so glad they didn't do this too long with the two Ranis either, because it could have become some sort of fantasy fic. But you know, oh god, why? I mean, honestly, it's quite a conceit to say to Patrick Troughton, get on the floor, get in the clothes of William Hartnell, so to speak, and we're going to do this fancy trick. That's a dramatic conceit in itself. But let's jump 60 years or so and actually say to the two actors, you're going to be facing each other. One's going to have his undies and one's going to be this, and you're going to be pulling a. Oh, I don't know. Come on, who came up with what's in your head?
Well, we know exactly who came up with it, and it was like, you know, this was the arrogance at this point where he thought he was going to have a massive stonking success of a show.
Yeah, I'm glad you finished that sentence.
Yeah. yeah, that would have been interesting. That would have been a regeneration crisis, wouldn't it? You know, could have been worse. He could have been coming out of David Tennant's backside or something like that, couldn't he? But what I will say, this also, what I find so fascinating, this also shows the flaw in RTD's what I call pebble dash writing, because don't forget, when he did this, the whole concept of it and what was said on the episode was he was going to carry on Shooty as the Doctor because Tennant had carried too much burden, you know, and too much trauma, and he was free of all that. And then we literally get into the next episode and he's crying. So it shows again that he had no plan whatsoever. It was just done just to go, oh, look, bye. And look, I've changed the show now. How do you all feel about that? It was almost like he wanted to get views by courting controversy.
Yeah. Whereas I'm my who pet, so I'm trying to kill on a regular basis, will need to learn how to regenerate.
Yeah.
So, John, that was our little talk about change and a moment too soon. So, John, thanks everybody for joining us. I understand we've added a sub or two now. Obviously, with John, obviously doing his bit, of course, being a regular panelist on here. I hope to be a regular panelist on his. He's got lots of exciting things coming up. But your Gallifrey11 on Twitter and your Sci-Fi Chronicles 79 on YouTube. So tell us all about what's going on.
Yeah, so thanks, mate. I am doing Stargate SG1 live watch-alongs on a Sunday night, which have been great fun. A good bunch of people in the chat and community. Starting very soon, a Marvel Agents of Shield watch-along. Also doing movie reviews and classic Doctor Who episode reviews. I've actually got a recording coming up this weekend with a friend of ours, as you know, Michael Herbert, to record the Mine Robber. So that's going to be fun. Yeah, plenty of other stuff on the way. So, you know, if you want to check something else out, Doctor Who related or sci-fi related, you know, feel free to have a look. And if you like it, subscribe.
There you go. And obviously today I did two, so I did an earlier one. There it is.
He'll be up till 2 a.m. because he'll go for the hat trick, everybody.
So that one is a fast one, everybody. Shooty should have been sacked from my media inside. It's 15 minutes. It doesn't hurt. This one was a nice... Well, we had some interesting chat tonight, actually, about that one. Garbage is our moderator, and Garbage Who is his channel. So please take a look, everybody. Please give us a like. Please give us a subscribe if you haven't already. It's all very nice. I'm very appreciative.
Can I just say, from what you said about Garbage and Sydney Sweeney AI, there should be at least 10,000 subscribers within the next half an hour if Garbage is doing that. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, everyone.
and my source has delivered some information. I don't know how to say it yet, but yes, keep an eye out, because something I can show you and all the rest of it. But good things come to those who wait, everybody. Yeah. So thanks for joining us. Check out John's channel. Check out Garbage Who as well. Check out my earlier stream. Sounds like you're checking out a lot tonight, everyone. But thanks a lot, John. And thank you to everybody. And we'll be back at some point in the future. I know I'm doing Detox at 1 on Friday. We haven't done a Detox for a while with the Aussies. Lots of bits of everything. So join us on Friday if you can. Bye, everyone, for now.
Take care. See ya.